close.
I know. We're up to this in person.
Beautifully intimate.
I love it. Just like the film you gave us, ma'am. Jon, I'm going to start with you because I'm going to do a little bit of a recap. Let's see. In a few days, the film is going to cross 500 million at the global box office. We are waking up to 4 Golden Globe nominations. Should have been 5. We have certified fresh in the tomato meter, verified hot audience reviews. People are all over our FYP with TikToks. What has this reception been like for you? And I'm going to ask you the same question, but I'll start with you, sir.
I don't know what a popcorn meter is, but I'll take it.
It means the audience.
It means the audience, right? That's right. Which is what really counts. It's been really overwhelming, really beautiful. You know, making a movie is sort of lonely, and we're all together, and we're like, no one ever looks at the details of what you're doing, but you just try to do the best work and get it out there. And, you know, I've been around long enough. There's some ups and downs, and you just sort of like create this protective shield. But to see the audience adopt it and love it and do the dances and quote the little moments that we love in the edit room. We laugh about when Nessa goes, yep. And suddenly the audience is doing it at home. It just is everything you dream of, at least for me as a storyteller, to really plug into people and have them take your baby and make it into their own thing. And so that's been really fun. But really, I love when they give this woman her respect that she deserves. Cynthia Erivo, what she deserves.
Yeah, there has been some respect. I mean, you just were in National Board of Review, Best Film, Best Director for you, also the Spotlight Award for you and Cynthia. I mean, what has this been for you, though, ma'am?
I mean, it's truly surreal. I don't know how to articulate my gratitude, my gratitude, if you will. No, but it's really extraordinary. I think we love this thing as much as we do. And to see it be received the way that it's been received is, I mean, you can't articulate it. It's really powerful and special. And, you know, now you know why we cry so much. It's really special. And the love that we've been feeling. And, you know, like Jon said, the details that the fans have been noticing, the choreography they've been memorizing.
The perfect bob, girl.
Yeah. Oh, she's everything. No, but the people in the kitchen singing the end of No One Mourns the Wicked, it's just really special.
Like, right.
Yeah.
That we love so much in the edit room, the fact that they see it. So
it's cool to see that. It's special.
I mean, it proves the craftsmanship that you all put into this, the passion that all of you put into this. And I'd like to talk now that the film has been out in the world. Well, first of all, how many of you have already seen it and are seeing it again? Love that. Love that.
7?
Wow.
7 times.
Are you my mom? How are you?
I love that. But that's what this film does. And I know it's because y'all spent so much time making it this great. But there's one moment that I feel a lot of people haven't talked enough about, and that is the Ozdust ball and just how that changes the narrative, where you are, where Cynthia is. Jon, again, I'm going to start with you, but I'd love for you to chime in as well, Ariana. Setting that up, the movement, the choreography, not in the dancing, even before it got there, and then, of course, what you two ladies did.
Well, that starts with the 2 ladies. You know, we set in a rehearsal in my office, and they don't like to sit in the chairs. They want to sit on the floor. So we're on the floor as we're eating peanuts and things, and we're talking about these characters. And when we talk about each of their characters, how the truth is revealed to them about this world, about the storyteller that's telling them this is what a villain looks like, this is what a hero looks like, and finding a way for them to wake up to those truths, and each of them, you know, decide in different ways of how to deal with that. And maybe Glinda's journey is a little bit longer, and how far do we give the audience? That's where it starts. And then you think of, okay, there is a moment in the Ozdust where this all comes to fruition, where they come to each other, where we see why they deserve each other, that each of them give each other a power. This was happening in real life, that Cynthia and Ari had this immense, true spiritual and talented power that I saw in their personalities of finding how they give each other strengths in different ways. And so we're trying to incorporate that, and it starts with obviously those conversations, and then working with Chris to say, okay, what does that feel like when it moves? And we knew that, yes, maybe those moves wouldn't translate ultimately into the movie, but it sort of got their body moving. And then what is Glinda responding to that? And what is she actually doing? Is this defiant thing, or is this moment where they're both like, we're going to take off all our powers and just be there together, and knowing that we may we're going to be completely vulnerable together. And it's that moment where, I mean, I love it because no words are spoken. It's the silence. We're in a big musical number, and it's the silent, and it's the restraint of just their eyes speaking to each other as Cynthia reaches out her hand, and then Glinda knows nothing else what to do except to then accept that, and then learning the dance together, which was real, learning that dance together.
Yeah, we didn't. I didn't want to over rehearse the dance. I think we rehearsed it properly maybe once or twice, but I tried my best to forget it every single time. And there's quite a bit of time between those rehearsals and when we finally shot it. So it felt very vulnerable on the day. And the reason why I didn't want to learn it is because I wanted Glinda to feel as awkward and as terrified as humanly possible, because, you know, I think up until that very moment, her biggest fear is probably what's happening to Elphaba, is being judged and not being liked, not being popular. And in that moment, it changes from being the scariest thing in the world is making someone feel like this. And that's a pin drop moment for her, because Jon often talks about how Wicked raises the question, once you know the truth, what do you do with it? And that moment for Glinda is, oh, I change. I have to change my behavior. This may be the first time that I have ever been asked or invited to look outside of myself. And she is able to accept it in that moment, because there's a difference between, I guess, pitying someone and having empathy for them. When you're empathetic towards someone, you want to share their shoes. You want to jump into their body and take the pain that they're experiencing and feel it with them. How can I transform this into something easier? Maybe by sharing it with you. Maybe if we're in it together, it'll make it worse somehow. I mean, better somehow. It'll take it away. So it's a really special moment, and there is so much work behind the scenes to preserve the performance that Cynthia is giving in that moment. Like Alice Brooks, who had to work with our lighting crew to program 500 different lighting cues.
700 lighting cues.
Because it's a 10-minute scene. No, you gotta go. It's a 10-minute scene. I need to go.
And we couldn't cut. They couldn't just pop into it. They needed to do the whole experience. It was the most uncomfortable shoot. All the background artists felt uncomfortable laughing at them because there were real wounds there that was happening, and it was uncomfortable for all of us to just witness this, and how many times we would ask them to do it. It was silent on that every time. And the brilliance of these ladies is that it also is mirrored in the opening scene. I mean, this is tracked through the movie where they're also confronted with each other, and you see the first cracks of Glinda when she's I think she says, I don't want to, you want to impress people. She goes, I don't. And to me, those are the first cracks. Of course she does. You see it in her eyes, and it can get so run over even on stage. Are they even playing that moment? But she plays these little cracks of what she needs as a character, that she needs the approval of people, no matter how much she plays it. And cinema allows us to be that close to see it. And Ari was able to really like carve that out so that when in that moment, you recognize that look in her. You recognize what her sacrifice of coming in is the scariest thing. When she says no to Fanny and Shen Shen, I'll never forget, because in the script, it's like, no. On stage, it's like, no. It's like very easy line to just deliver. The way she does it, we were in tears from that moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to stay professional up here. This is why they cry all the time, as you said. It's infectious, seriously.
And you don't expect that. I mean, I honestly, like, this is the first time you're leading a movie. I'm sitting there like, did she live another life that I have no idea? Because she's doing this, like, she's done this for her whole life. Like, she's a Hollywood star that we've known in the past, but we just never saw again. And suddenly here she is right in front of us. It really felt like a discovery of this gem that we've had. And that was really, we knew right from when she started shooting, something very special is happening.
And you were right. I want to bring it to something very, All right, then y'all, I'm trying. I'm really trying. This is going to be so hard. I want to talk a little bit about that moment in the sense that I feel like that's when you two fall in love, because I do believe this is like a love story, love triangle.
It is.
Yeah. When you are in the moment of defying gravity, where you stop, you wipe away the tears, you go to the bureau and you get that cape. That is like in the love story when they know they can't be together, but they want to be. Sending her off with that protection, if we use the analogy of how privileged Glinda is to how marginalized Elphaba is, that is a very powerful moment. And as much as we love all the comedy that you do, I'd love for you to talk about what Glinda's thinking about in that moment and what you were doing in that moment, because it is so powerful.
Thank you. That means a lot. I think, there's a lot going on in that very moment. There's so much to be afraid of. There's an argument that could take place. I could try again. But in that moment, I have to choose to accept what this woman that I love is choosing. And I don't have to agree with her, but I have to accept it. And that is a true example of unconditional love and forgiveness. We are completely different, and you understand why I'm making this decision. I know you don't agree with it, and I know you wish you could change it, and same, but I have to accept it because I do know that that's the only healthy, right thing for you. And that's the hardest thing that we can do when we love someone, is accept that what they're choosing might be the end. And who knows if I will see them again or get to say goodbye, if this is it. They're each other's only real friend. And what we're both choosing is right and terrifying at the same time. So it's very complicated. And, a lot of people ask, what if Glinda had gone? What if Glinda had gotten on the boom? But there's a reverse side to that question where it's like, what if she had stayed and we had convinced them to change this shit from the inside out? Sorry, children. But, what if I'm sorry, but she's the one with the powers. What if we had reworked the system from the inside out? What if we had held it over their heads and made a difference together? And it's just that Elphaba will never reason with the bad guys. And that's amazing. And we all wish we could be as brave as Elphaba. And sometimes we have to be brave in different ways. And yeah, I don't know.
That's sure.
I love what you're talking about of falling in love with the two of them, because the moment in Defying Gravity doesn't happen without the few steps before. After the Ozdust, to me, I could feel the audience shift when she says, "It's not your fault." She says, "It's the milk flower's fault. It's not yours." And what Cynthia's look to her is like an awakening for her. And the way that when we cut back to Glinda, her look back is like so innocent. Like, of course, it's so simple. It's not your fault. And then she says, "And look, it's tomorrow." And immediately, I think the audience falls in love with her, and I think Cynthia falls in love with her. And then you go to the moment later where she says, "Oh, Miss Elphaba, look at you. You're beautiful." Those lines, we've seen it many times on stage, and they work fine. But when we're that close, the amount of you have to sell the reality and the truth of that was really happening between them when they're looking in that mirror. Even when she says, "Pink goes good with green," she says, "Well with green," and it doesn't even faze Glinda.
I don't realize she's correcting me.
But it's just like,
I'm just like, yeah, right.
I love that. That was not planned. That was not talked about. That's instinctual in her, and she was Glinda, a real human being in that moment. I just think all those steps are just so beautiful, and the fact that even in the end, like as much as we want her to go, like she's not ready yet, and we have a little bit more to go with Glinda. Where we get to dig in a little bit deeper with that. But she has to plant all these seeds along the way, which is pretty amazing.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait to talk about it all.
I know.
Yeah.
Can it be next year now?
No,
No.
we're going to tease them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he mentioned, too, the choices that you made, because so many of them have gone viral. I mean, I'm very tempted right now to just make you say right, because that has been such a thing.
No, I forgot doing that.
I mean, you did the O2 and the what is this feeling? Like all your little improvs, such a serve. But talk about
The right scared me the first time I'm serious, because I heard the song, I heard the live vocal from the movie before I saw the scene. So I heard the right, and I was like, John, what am I doing here? Anyway, so sorry.
I was like, it's great. Trust me.
Thank you.
What was your thought process on some of those? Because I know when you got the role, because we've all seen the video, you're like, I'm going to take such good care of her. You obviously did, but you still knew that you had to tweak her. So what were those choices? Did they just instinctually come out? Did you plan some of them? Were there some that you had already been thinking about for the whole 20 years you've been dreaming about this role?
No, I really just wanted to get to know her as much as I possibly could before we even got to London, before we even opened the movie script, when I was still looking at the Broadway one, trying to read between the lines and get to know her. And I feel like, this goes without saying, but comedy doesn't land when you're expecting it to be funny, when you're playing it for you to laugh. It's only funny when it's truthful. So I wanted to just get to know her on every level, and her insecurities and her fears, and just make sure that all of that could just be there underneath the surface, and that underneath the funny, she could still have a heartbeat. And one of my favorite things about working with Jon is, how the trust that we share and the warmth that you bring to a set. And he is like the most meticulous planner. He will come in with the storyboard, with the shot by shot, second per second. Everything is perfectly planned. And he'll get that version, and then he'll just be like, okay, now do whatever Glinda would do. And we would just play. And that's where a lot of that came from. It was when you would just say, okay, now something else. And that's kind of the most fun thing in the entire world, because you just get to really be that character then. And it's beautiful. And thanks for inspiring and putting
That's a director.
creating the best, safest space.
We have to get out of here. I know. I appreciate. I know. I could talk to you for hours. Like, they could leave and we could be here. But I want to end with this, because this film has become precious for a lot of people. It's been precious for me since I got to see it. It's precious for the people that have seen it 7 times, obviously. But for you both, I'm curious. This is only chapter 1 and a continuing story. You had a baby on the premiere night. I know that's precious, but...
And you had a baby during Dancing Through Life.
I've had 3 babies during the making of this movie. No twins. No twins.
Yeah, we're going to get there. Hold on 1 second. I want to get this question, though.
Okay, go.
All right. What's going to be the most precious thing for you about this moment, what you've done? What is the thing that you're holding dear? And I'd love for both of you to give me something from it.
For me, it's when you start a project as a director, you try to set out a horizon line, and we tried to make it not just a horizon. We tried to put it in freaking space. And we challenged Universal to go with us. And we didn't know if they were. And at every step, they believed that we could. We challenged people to come in and show us who Glinda could be. We weren't going to make this movie if we didn't find the right people. They said we can go further. And every step of the way, the production design, the costume design, we could go further with this story. And to a point where it felt like we were actually making a small movie, because it felt like a coup, like we were just there and like no one was watching over us. And I will never forget those small moments of sitting on the floor in rehearsal. We'll never forget us talking about, hey, you know what? Maybe Stephen Schwartz doesn't want us to do it like that. Just do it anyway. I'll never forget those, because sometimes those things don't pan out and you just accept that. But this time, the audience sees it and respects it. And to me, those are the moments, the little planning and not knowing, and now seeing it, everyone in the camp with us. You're like in that office with us. And that is, I'll never forget that feeling.
I was going to say a similar thing.
That's
I was
perfect.
going to say the secret, quiet conversations that we would have literally in Munchkin Land in a Munchkin hut about, no, seriously, they were functional and it was real. And it'd be raining and we'd go into the Munchkin hut and there'd be a Munchkin napping and we'd say, excuse me, can we come in? It's a true story. No, but it's those conversations that we had about the layers of No One Mourns the Wicked and how much I want to reveal at that moment. Is it too soon to let you in this much? How much? And it's those conversations that I will cherish so dearly forever. And just to see that people see it and feel it and are talking about those same exact moments, and they're conversations that we had when it was raining and we couldn't shoot in a Munchkin hut in Munchkin Land.
Very muddy.
Very muddy. And just to see the work come to life and translate, and for people to receive it the way that they've been receiving it, it's really sweet. It feels like everyone is in on our secret, and it's really special to share it.
Love that. All right. Thank you both so much. Again, hold your seats. We're going to exit. Thank you all, but there's a reception afterwards, so please join us.
Thank you guys.